The main theme is that the aurum metallicum person demands of himself to do his duty to the highest possible degree, uncompromising principles that are beyond the possible. So it's when you understand gold, if the symbolism of gold is also the purity of gold, how pure is it? How unadulterated it is also. So he or she almost destroys himself or herself in trying to achieve these goals. Because if you don't achieve it, you get a feeling of failure, that you have not lived up to your responsibility or to your duty. And then you get a severe feeling of guilt or despair of salvation. And that's what kind of leads to a suicidal tendency in aurum metallicum. It is the age when one, leaves the safety of his house and he goes out, but he has a full knowledge that if anything goes wrong, if there's a problem, I have a backup. So the need for a guide or mentor is the main theme of Strontium 𝗃𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁. What Strontium looks for is guidance. And what is a guidance? It is a person more experienced than yourself who has been on this path which is unknown to you. And therefore, if there is a problem on that path, you can rely on his experience or his expertise for help. The relationship with this guide is the most important thing in the life of Strontium 𝗃𝗶𝗴𝗵. Now, this guide can be a teacher, it can be a guru, but it can also be your own mother or your father. In the fifth superclass, you have the fifth row of periodic table. And what does the fifth row want? Always out of the box thinking. They want to create, they want to invent, they want to think away from the box. They want to get out. So when you see a remedy like Argentum, Nitricum, it combines the Argentum also and Nitricum also. And both of them want to get out. You see, Argentum is in the fifth row. Fourth superclass wants to get out, wants to do something new. And Nitricum really wants to come out. So the Argentum Nitricum becomes the most claustrophobic remedy in our materia medica. So let us start thinking in that broad way, what is what, where it is located, what are the various elements that form that remedy. And then you have such a beautiful, multi-sided, multifaceted picture of the remedy. And then your chances of going wrong in the cases are very, very minimal, because you understand all of this and it manifests in your practice so clearly that you cannot make a mistake. So 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is, like I told you, the crossroad between plant kingdom and animal kingdom, a plant that behaves almost like an animal. And one of the things about 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is it's very difficult to potentize this plant without one or two insects in it also. So that's also very interesting. So the main feeling, now the emotional aspect we will look at. The main feeling of 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is being persecuted, deceived, trapped, choked and killed. And the reaction is to be aggressive, violent, trying to get out, which is often not possible. And the main expression of 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is that even a small irritation can cause the patients into a tremendous outburst of rage, the inner feeling being harassed, cheated or deceived. So the feeling of stuck, suffocated and oppressed in tuberculinum, it's not an acute feeling. It is a chronic feeling in tuberculinum. It is as if some weight of pressure is oppressing, growing narrower and narrower, and that he will be suffocated unless he moves out. It is like everything is becoming narrow or rigid. Suppose all the rules are being made. You have to follow this rule, you have to follow this rule, you have to follow this habit, you have to follow that, you have to do this, you have to do that. Oh, then he wants to just break free of all the rules and rebel to get out of there. This pressure is growing on you. Even in the physical symptoms, you have the sensation of oppression in the lungs, that restricted lung space. I found that Naja people have a certain quality of nobility about them, of morality, of responsibility, of duty. So if you see delusions, neglected his duty, you will find Naja. Or if you see delusions, he has done wrong, you will see Naja. But on the other side, there is a feeling of having suffered wrong and suffered neglect, with intense feelings of malice and an impulse to neglect or to harm the offending person. So I will now go straight to the proving. And one of the things that one of the provers gave this symptom, that she was staying as a paying guest in the house of an old woman. And around midnight, the old woman came and said, get out of this room, get out immediately. Without it, she said, why I have to go? No, just get out right now. And then that old woman started to pick up the prover's, belongings and to throw them down the stairs and go, take this, go, pushing her out in the middle of the night. And this prover is a female prover. She's very upset, very angry. How can you do this? For no reason, you are just pushing me out, a woman in the middle of the night with all the luggage. She's feeling all this anger. And she's saying, while she feels this anger, the old woman, in the course of pushing things down, also falls down the stairs and breaks her leg. And she's shouting, help, help. And then this prover is in a conflict. Oh shit, what should I do? On the one hand, I feel so angry with this woman who is injustice to me and who is exploiting me, etc., etc. And on the other hand, I'm a doctor. The prover is a doctor. And he says, I cannot neglect her. I cannot, I have to help her. This is my duty also. So these two sides are intense battle with each other, and she wakes up from this dream. This is a very, very good dream for Naja, because the main indication for Naja is the conflict between a sense of duty and a feeling of revenge for having suffered wrong. So you have the rubric delusion, duty neglected, and delusion suffered wrong, and then you have the rubric delusion that there is will is divided, or there is antagonism with himself, or he has two wills. So these two sides, in that sense, you can see a little bit like an accordion, you can say, angel and devil, not exactly, but there is this kind of conflict within them. So the Indian cobra is both revered and respected as a god, as well as feared and killed as a poisonous snake. Isn't it funny? So the main feeling of Roosstox is to be caught, stuck, held in a situation and has to come out of it immediately. So why this immediately? That is the typhoid miasm. So you are suddenly caught and suddenly you have to make all the effort to get out of there as soon as possible. You see, that is the experience of Roosstox. I want to share with you at this point a case which had come, which was brought to me from Romania by my colleague Dr. Gentiana. So the young man must be in his 30s. He had come all the way to India for treatment of his panic disorder. And he used to get very, very, very panic, and it was almost like paralyzing his life, you can say like that. And what is the symptom of this panic? It was like as if something got stuck or something got caught over here. But the main symptom was that it was aggravated if he had to sit in a place for a long time. For example, if he goes in a car, then after 20 minutes or half an hour, the panic would start. And then he needed to stop the car on the side of the street, get out of the car, walk. And then he would get back into the car. Then he would be better for some time. And this got progressively worse and worse and worse. And this man was so beautifully helped with Roosstox. Also in that case, I learned one symptom of Roosstox, which is aversion to soup. because this man didn't like soup. And Gentiana, my colleague, told me, who is from Romania, she said the main food of Romanians is soup. So this was a very strange symptom, and if you look in the repertory, you will find Rostock's in aversion to soup. But the entire idea that to be caught and stuck in some place and he had to get out of there and to move, this is very important. Now there are many remedies that are restless. For example, you have arsenic, which is very, very restless. But arsenic doesn't need to get out. In fact, arsenic needs stability. Why? Because the main feeling of arsenic, which is in the fourth super class, is that he's losing stability, he's losing money. Robbers and thieves are taking away the money from him. He needs to secure his house, he needs to make it stable, and he's not able to do it. It's going out of his control. Therefore, arsenic lies in the cancer miasm in the fourth super class. And therefore his restlessness, you see, because he is losing, you see. So it has to do with more with losing stability and losing the control on his stability, on his money, on his health also. Even losing control on his health, which he wants to be stable, It's very typical of an arsenic patient to come to the clinic and say, doctor, can you see this blue colored vein, but see on this side it is not there. Why it is here? Why it is not here? This is the restlessness of arsenic. Why things are not in proper place. Why his blood pressure reading is not 120/80, but it's 126/86. This can produce a lot of anxiety, as if his health, which should be stable, is going out of control. So can you see how arsenic is a beautiful meeting point between the cancer miasm, between the fourth superclass of stability, and between the mineral kingdom, where he is losing his structure, losing his money, losing his health, losing his life, losing his relatives, etc., etc. So this is how it is. I want to tell you of a very memorable story in my practice. I was sitting one day, I was treating a lady, and that day she brought her husband with her, and in the follow-up. And the husband was very cheerful and smiling and all of that, very affable kind of character. And he said, doctor, I want to take your treatment as soon as possible, because I have developed some pain in the occiput and I have developed some blood pressure. And I said to him, yes, sure, I will give you an appointment. He says, no, doctor, I don't want to wait for so long, because I know your appointments take a lot of time. And I would just want to tell you that last week I was in the terrorist attack. Now this piqued my curiosity, and I said to him, tell me what happened. And he said, I was in a hotel in Mumbai called the 𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁, and I was having dinner in the ground floor, and suddenly the terrorists came and they surrounded the entire dining room, and they herded people, and they segregated people out of a certain religion. They pushed them out, and the other ones, they took us all up to a certain floor, maybe 13th floor or 15th floor, and they huddled us all together. And then they had guns, of course. And he said, then they got a call from their handlers, and they started shooting people there. And he said, everybody except 2 of us died. All the dead bodies were there, and I was like buried among dead bodies. Can you imagine? This alive yet dead. Can you imagine this story? And he said only one other person was alive, and I could kind of make out that there is one more alive person. And it was very important that both of us pretend to be dead. Very interestingly also, there's a word called hibernation, where you are alive but you are like dead. And hibernation is a great word for opium. For example, this is just an aside. So he said, in that situation where I was among the dead bodies and I could make out that one other person was alive, I just whispered to that person, just pretend to be dead. Don't move. So can you imagine that even in that horrible situation, in that situation of such tremendous fright and pain and suffering, you see, this man had the presence of mind and the control to remain calm and to take the right decision. And he said, then, you see, some time passed and my shirt was blood soaked, and then these terrorists were maybe eliminated or whatever, and the security forces came in, and that's when I decided to, when I heard, that they have come, I got up and they could make out there was 2 alive people, and they said, come with us, and we have to take you to the hospital to examine you. And I said to them, I'm fine, I don't have any problem, I want to go home. They said, no, it's not possible, you have to come. First of all, you have to change your shirt because it's drenched with blood. And he said they somehow brought a shirt for me, I changed the shirt. And I said, I don't want to go to any hospital, I'm absolutely fine. And he said, then I left the place, and I had to change my SIM card or recharge my SIM card of my mobile phone. So I went to the center to recharge my SIM card. Can you imagine this after such an incident? As if nothing happened. He went to recharge his SIM card. And after recharging his SIM card, he took a taxi or a train, I don't know, and he landed home. He went to his house. At the house as if really nothing happened. And then she asked him what happened, etc. And he said, I was in a terrorist attack. And he said, the only thing is that after that I developed a hypertension and I have some numbness in the back of my head. So can you treat me? Can you give me an appointment? And I said, you don't need any appointment. I'm giving you the medicine. I gave him opium and he got better very, very quickly. So can you, understand the entire dynamic of this remedy and the miasm and the kingdom and the effect? And there was no blame. He didn't blame anyone. There was no animal theme here. There was no victim feeling. It was just a complete numbness. And he came to my clinic also laughing, cheerful.